Yo, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? This is your Coach Renz, and today, the final last day of the year for 2017, and one of the messages for today, because there will be multiple messages today, but one of the messages for the day that I wanted you guys to hear is that the Creator is not a superhero, even though people make him out to be. And I say him only in the framework that people give it a him. But understand that the Creator is not a superhero, but we've created it. We've made it, all religions have made the Creator a superhero. And let me give you the basic thing of how this has happened and how you can see the superhero story and the superhero journey and how we respond to it. You see, one of the reasons why we like all these Marvel, DC superhero movies is because we can relate to them, because religion has conditioned us to relate to the Creator as a superhero, as something outside of ourselves being able to save us, help us, keep us from peril, all these things. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you how it's all within you. There are a lot of things that you are trying to attribute to miracles, a lot of things you're attributing to you need some type of saving from your current life situation. You have it more in hand. It's more in your hands to be able to do something about it. And I'm going to show you how to do that by the end of this video. And for all those who are supporting me on Patreon, I really appreciate it. And I ask that you continue to share this video, and I ask everybody to share this video and to continue to support me on Patreon. And if you want the more in-depth, detailed things, please come join us on Patreon. So here's the thing. What is the superhero? How does it look? What's the theme, the basic theme? The basic theme of the superhero movie, every superhero movie, most of the time, start out with the superhero handling some small issues, finishing up dealing with some small issue. In our religion, the superhero, the Creator, is recreating or creating the earth from a void or from destruction or something like that. So making everything good, and that's how we like it. We like everything to be made good again. So everything is fine and peaceful. But then a major enemy shows up. That major enemy shows up and he starts wreaking havoc on the people, starts causing problems with the average person. The average person was minding their business. They weren't doing anything. They just living life based on what the superhero has set up for them. But then here comes this enemy out of nowhere. This enemy that some would think that if it wasn't for the superhero, the enemy wouldn't exist. But here is this enemy that comes in, starts intervening with regular people, regular life, who just trying to get along and live their life. And that's how we perceive the Creator. Like, the Creator made a utopia, a paradise. But the Creator is just letting man live in this paradise. But then here comes the enemy, the serpent, the dragon, the devil, Satan, the demons, you know, depending upon what religion you conform to. Here comes some evil adversary that shows up, some jinn that shows up and starts creating destructive things that convinces man to walk away. And all of a sudden the enemy has tricked man into not living in the paradise that the superhero originally set up for you. And then what happened? The enemy is about to win. The enemy got all the people in peril. All the people are about to lose out. And the superhero has been trying to figure out, it's been sending you judges, been sending you prophets, been sending all these different types of people to save you. In the Buddhist mindset is the enemy comes and says, who will vouch for you now that you come to understanding under the Bodhi tree? You know, who will vouch for me? And I'm going to throw all these different demons and things at you. You know, the Sumerians continue to talk about how the wars between Enlil and Enki and Marduk and Elnana and all these people in Dumuzi, they're warring, fighting. So everything's all crazy. And here comes an ex machina. The superhero shows up and does some major sacrificial thing where he almost dies and comes and saves the day, right? But the enemy seems to escape all the time to make his triumphant return so that there can be a final battle between the good and evil. It always builds up. Like in the Marvel universe, we're building up to Thanos. You know, DC is building up to Darkseid. You know, there's always this build up to the major enemy. The final cataclysmic battle must be fought. We treat things like it's a superhero story. We have all these ideas of prophecies that has to come true. And we're going to deal with that in a little bit so that you can truly understand the prophecies and understand how man controls these things, that man has the ability. You see, we're sitting by on the sidelines watching the primary players out there on the field. We're watching the Steph Curry and LeBron James on the court. We're watching them and we're looking for them to win the game for us. But in this game of life, the only people who can play it is you. You are the one who play it. You're the one who play the game. You are the hero of your own story. You are your own hero. But government, schools, religion, parents, cultures, all these things has us believing that we are to wait for some charismatic superhero to come in and save us. And save us. As many people who fought for civil rights, 3, 4, 5, 10 times the number of people sat at home and waited for MLK and Malcolm and all those people who were involved to march and fight and die and become bludgeoned and go to jail. They stood on the sidelines and waited for some other savior, some other superhero to save them. As many people, you know, the majority of Americans at the time frame of the 13 colonies did not want a revolution against England, but because a few did, they got caught up into it. And most of those people sat at home and didn't participate in the fight, but yet they reaped the benefits because they're looking for the superhero to come in and save them. It's a training that we have in our minds, but instead we have to realize that the true superhero is yourself and the true enemy is within you. It's in your mind. The negative portions of your brain is the true enemy that is out there stopping you, preventing you from being able to achieve what it is that is bountiful for you to achieve. The abundance that this universe has sitting there waiting for you is right there, but it is your own enemy inside. There's an African proverb that says that if you can't find the enemy without, then it is the enemy within that prevents you from achieving your goals, achieving success. I paraphrase that a little bit, but that's how that goes. So it's the enemy within that is containing you, that is keeping you, that is taking you to the battle of Armageddon, that is causing you to look for some type of savior, person, government, organization to come in and rescue you and rapture you up. It is something outside of you. It is something, it's that enemy inside you that's causing that idea. Now, what we don't realize is that we can do it ourselves. I want to ask you a question. And a gentleman that I listened to spoke about this yesterday or the day before. So it is my own thought, but it's been added to by someone I listened to. The real Merkaba said recently, if you look at the history, the recorded history of man up to this date, what you will not find is any miracle, any major thing that has happened, barring natural catastrophes, that have been caused by some angelic supernatural force. At no point in recorded history, when Hurricane Katrina came and devastated the Gulf Coast area, at no point were there an angel standing on a mountaintop declaring, as it was declared for Sodom and Gomorrah, at no point was there an angel standing on a mountaintop saying that we are going to destroy New Orleans, we're going to destroy the Gulf Coast. But yet many said that they were being destroyed because of their wicked ways. But at what point was there an angel standing on the hilltop causing this destruction, or was it natural forces? I mean, let's think about it. Hurricanes naturally flow through that area every year. So I could prophesize that at some point a category 5 or 6 hurricane will once again, within the next 100 years, will devastate that area. Would that make it prophecy, or just understanding the natural order of things? You choose. Is it prophecy or natural order? Now, but at what point did you see an angel or some demigod or some 8-armed deity show up and blot out the sun? At what point did they show up and not in your imaginings, but show up physically. Multiple people see and they touch you, and the person was miraculously healed, or the person rose from the dead. When did that happen? When in recorded history have you seen that? Not somebody saying that they almost died and had a vision because they almost died and a huge amount of DMT was released into their brain and then they saw visions. Not that. I'm saying multiple people saw it. It all happened at the same time. Everybody got a glimpse of it and saw some demigod, deity, god, goddess showed up, whether it's Horus, Isis, whatever you want to call the name, showed up and performed this miracle. When did it happen? Because every miracle that you hear about today, somebody says, God said, God showed up, an angel showed up, an angel this, an angel that. But when has it really happened? Where's your proof? Where's the proof? There is no proof. You know why there is no proof? Because you are the true miracle. The true miracle is within you. The true miracle is inside of you and the energy that you produce. Let's think about it. World War II. Now, in most prophecies, it says something similar to there'll be wars and rumors of wars. Now, every version says that at the end time, whether it's the Jewish Torah, the Christian Bible, the Islamic, the Vedics, all of them say that there'll come an end time when there'll be rumors of wars and wars against man. But let's be real. When was the last time an angel started a war? Every war has been started by man. We can look at and see what the cause and effect of every war. See, this is why hermetics are very important, because we can see the cause of every war. We can see the cause of every famine. We can see the cause of every downturn in the economy. We can see the cause of every massacre. We can see the cause of every oppression. We can see the causal factors, and each one of these causal factors are caused by a man, a person, a group. Whether you go with Illuminati and all these kind of stuff, but a man, a group started all these things. And here's the thing about it. Even for the things that have happened great, the healings that have happened. I'm going to tell you a quick little story. I've said this in other videos. There was a lady that I know, she's Christian. And here's the thing that's different about her prayers, is that when her husband was facing death in the hospital, they said he was going to die. When he was facing death, her prayer energy, her meditation energy was such that she refused to accept that. Now, you got to understand this. Prayer and meditation happens. Prayer and meditation can change things, but you need to understand it is the intent, the emotional intent behind it, the actual subconscious intent thought behind it that creates whatever will be created. The answer is always yes. I did another video where I said the answer to that your prayers are always answered, but it is your sponsoring thought that determines what the true question is. Now, when her husband was in this state, she told everybody, family members, children, her kids, everybody, pastors, everybody, that if your full belief, your full intent is not that he is going to walk out of this hospital room, then she demanded that you leave. You see, she would not allow any negative thoughts. She would not allow any, let it be God's will. See, she never said it will be God's will. She was like the will of anybody in this room, doctors included, nurses included, orderlies included, the will of anybody who walked in this room, because she demanded from the hospital that no one can come into this room, no one can work with her husband unless they fully, 100% believe with no doubt that her husband was going to walk out of there. There were members of her church that weren't allowed to come in there because they came in with the sadness. They came in with the, it's going to be all right and whatever God's will, and we just going to hope and pray. No, she gave up on hope and stuck with determined intention. You see, determined intention in a prayer, in a meditation, will decide what will manifest. And that's what she did. See, I'm just telling you guys, those who get stuck on whether it's Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or Hindu or conscious or whatever, you stuck in the wrong place. What you have to understand is that the Hermetics, the natural law thing, works in everything. If you had been with me on my Patreon, you would understand that, how I went through each Hermetic law so that you can understand the law of mentalism is solely based on your true finite intent, your no doubt. You know, you read and you understand that you've got to enter into something with no doubt. And if you, whatever you don't doubt is what will happen. You see, here's the thing, you may not get it. When you pray that I want something new in 2018, but you have doubt, what you are praying is that the doubt will happen, because the doubt is supported. You fully support your doubt. You fully support the negative end of the spectrum. You fully are saying that it's subconsciously the doubt, the negative portion is what is going to happen. That's the real thing. And that's what really manifests in your life, which is why your 2017 hasn't been any better or not much better than your 2018. Only the things that you had some definiteness of purpose towards has manifested itself to be what it is that you truly desired. And that's what you got. And when you look at your life now, what you have is what you truly desired in your life. So if you want something different changed, then you have to change what you truly desire and eliminate the doubt. And you become your own superhero. That's just how that works in prayer and meditation. Now, like I said, in prophecies, no prophecies is fulfilled unless man fulfills them. You can't, no one, I challenge you to show me a prophecy in recorded history, not something recorded in the Bible or Torah or the Vedics, none of that, because there's no witnesses. There are no witnesses. I'm gonna be honest with you, all that stuff, everything is backdated. So there's none of that. So show me, prove a prophecy that has happened that wasn't arranged by man. Some of the Hebrew Israelites like to say that, oh, well, you know, the children will be the lost tribes of Israel will be sold in captivity and sailed away on ships. Well, when you read the Codex before the King James Version, none of the Codex says that. None. Not one Codex says that. Not one writing before the King James, the authorized King James Version, says that. King James put that in there in 1600s because that was already going on. It was a way to justify the slave trade. But then now you say it's history. I mean, it's prophecy. But here's the messed up part. It said 400 years. We know that slavery didn't occur for 400 years. But what they tried to do is extrapolate the years up until the civil rights. That ended it. But that's just in America. What about in South America? What about in Central America? What about in the Caribbean? What are you saying? That those people were part of it, but you're saying that wasn't part of it? No, you're making up stuff to fit a timeline of not a prophecy, but a guy writing a book who said that this is going on. Let me be able to justify this slavery, this slave trade, this transatlantic slave trade. Let me justify it. And if I say that it's going to last for another 200 years, I'm good. I'm good, because I'm be dead. I'm be dead. And guess what? Somebody is going to justify it, because they got to justify the book. Because as long as the book's been around for at least 80 years, that way, who's going to challenge it? Because you grew up reading it. Now everybody who's alive grew up reading it. Most of the people alive grew up reading it. If it lasts for 100 years, everybody, 200 years, everybody who's alive grew up reading this version of it. They didn't read the Codex before. How many of you have read the Codex before the King James Bible? How many of you have read the older versions to see the difference? That the fact that that part in Deuteronomy is not there. So if it wasn't there, then somebody added it. See, that's what I'm saying. Prophecy. You see, I can sit here, like I said, I can prophesize that a hurricane will destroy the Gulf coast again in the next 100 years. It'll probably happen. And somebody will come back and say, oh, he knew it. He prophesied it. I could prophesize that certain countries will cease to exist in the next 100 years. If I really looked at and evaluated different countries and where they are right now and how their governments are rolling, there are certain countries you can prophesy that won't be in existence in the next 200 years. Or they would have changed, or some major thing will happen. Yes, I could prophesy that within the next 200 years, California will experience a major earthquake, that the Yellowstone volcano will erupt. And if it happens within the next 200 years, people will look back at this video and say that, oh, he prophesied it, but it's not prophecy. I can prophesize that there will be a major world war within the next 100 years. And guess what? People look back and say, oh, it happens, but look at how we love to war. So it's easy. It's not hard to prophesize that. Because if that was the case, then Nostradamus prophesies. All right? If that was the case, then Shakespeare prophesies. The I Ching prophesies. Then all of these things, because they have prophesied certain things and they all have happened. The singing psychic in Tampa has prophesied. She prophesied when the Pope was going to die. And that Pope would be the first, that John Paul would die. There'll be another Pope who would only be here for a short period of time. And then there'll be another one. She prophesies all of that. So is she God? Is she led by God? Or can you just say John Paul's kind of old? Pretty much all the leading cardinals who replace him are old. So they probably won't last that long. So they'll pick another one who won't be as old so they can have a little longevity. It's not hard. I can prophesy a whole bunch of stuff and they'll seem fulfilled. But it's all about understanding the hermetics to see that you are your own hero. That a lot of things that we give to, that we ask for in prayer, that we meditate on, you can do it yourself. You can do it yourself. Look, if you understand the hermetics, you'll understand how everything is within you. All the ability to make changes in your life is within you. Why pray or meditate for a financial miracle when it is just as simple as reading and understanding a book like The Richest Man in Babylon, which is a study that we will do soon on my Patreon account. But The Richest Man in Babylon would be your own financial blessing to teach you how to get out of debt. It shows you how to get out of debt. It shows you how to build wealth. It shows you how to maintain that wealth. And then it shows you how to continue generational wealth thereafter. So why do you need to pray for a financial miracle when you can do it yourself? A basic thing that it teaches you is to not to spend more than what you earn. That 10% of what you spend or what you earn should be put into investments. And it only put into investment that will return you an investment, and how to evaluate those investments. It teaches you something as simple as that, but yet you do not do it, but yet you expect some kind of miracle, some superhero miracle. Why? Why? When you can do it yourself. You ask for a healing miracle because you're suffering from diabetes or high blood pressure, but all of that is controlled by what you eat and your physical activity. So why are you praying and meditating for some kind of physical healing when you can take the next 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, 36 months, and really heal yourself by eating high-powered foods, by minimizing or eliminating meat and processed foods from your diet, exercising, whether it's walking, doing push-ups, squat, going to the gym, getting in a good exercise program, doing meditation and yoga, to get yourself into a state where you are now healthier than you've ever been in your life. Why are you praying and meditating for a healing when you can do it yourself? Why do you pray for a relationship, marital, romantic healing, romantic fix, romantic situation when, if you're in a relationship, take the time to ask each other, how can I make you happy today? And then do it. How can I make you smile today? And then do it. And then do it consistently. Find out what a person's love language is and then do it consistently. If you can do that, then you don't need a superhero swooping in to save your marriage, because you can save your own marriage. You don't need a superhero. You can be your own superhero. But yet, we find ourselves too lazy to do it. We've been conditioned to wait for the superhero to create all these problems. You see, most of the problems are created by ourselves. Like I said, that enemy within is creating your external problems, manifesting your problems, but you're negating the superhero within. The superhero within you that can deliver you from your own personal Armageddon. It's right there in front of you. And that is why we did the study on the Hermetics in my Patreon. But what we are going to start now, we're going to start a study of Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Now, if you don't know who Napoleon Hill, he wrote Think and Grow Rich, one of the most famous books ever written, Think and Grow Rich. Let me give you a little bit of something that was said about this book of Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil, by some of the most profound authors of our time right now. So Bob Proctor, who wrote, he's the founder of Life Success. He wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. Been doing this for 50 plus years. And it says that Napoleon Hill's work, Think and Grow Rich, is something he reads every day. But that this Outwitting the Devil book, that Napoleon has outdone it, has done it again, another world changer. This book is going to eliminate the spiritual confusion people worldwide are presently experiencing, and it will tear down the walls of ignorance that separates millions of individuals from the freedom their soul is seeking. Brian Tracy wrote, most people will achieve their greatest success one step beyond what looked like their greatest failure. If you don't get that, I need you to get that deep inside you. that most people will achieve their greatest success one step beyond what looks like their greatest failure. Understand, if your greatest failure is here, you're only one step. Is your greatest success when you have much more success left. One step from your greatest failure. One step from the lowest point you ever been will be your greatest level of success. But what he talks about is how this book will help you break through the barriers that may be holding you back from truly achieving your greatest success. Can you get that into your mind? That is why this book is so important. That is why this book, we're going to study the heck out of it. Napoleon Hill wrote this book 70 plus years ago. 70 plus years ago, this manuscript was written. Had a slight interruption, but yes, 70 years ago, this manuscript was written, right? 70 years ago, Napoleon Hill was saying that the reason why our society is not as advanced as it is because we are all captivated and prisoners of this negative portion of our brain, and we're not even aware that the true devil is inside of us that's preventing us from being able to have this greatness. And he provides the answer. And it's an interesting way that he does it. It's like he's interviewing the devil, and the devil is expressing how he does it and also how to overcome it. And the devil talks about how 98% of the people end up in hell with him simply because they don't know how to exercise the part of their brain that does not have any doubt, that's not controlled by doubt, that's not controlled by fear, that's not controlled by gluttony and all these other things. So we are going to go through this book. We are going to learn a lot as far as what Napoleon Hill is writing, why Bob Proctor said this is the greatest book written, why T. Harv Eker, why Brian Tracy and so many other people say this is the greatest book that Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, this is his masterpiece. And we're also going to talk about why for 70 years it wasn't printed. For 70 years it wasn't printed because his wife, Napoleon Hill's wife, knew that the church would come after him, that the government would come after him, that the schools would come after him. Her nephew, his wife, knew that if they published it during the 50s and 60s and 80s, that they would come after them and try to destroy them as well. But now that we truly have more freedom of speech, now that we truly have more of an ability to not be as oppressed by the church and schools and government, that we can now understand the hermetics of this book. And that's another thing. If you have not seen my videos on the hermetics, there are parts of this book that you're not going to get, because you have to understand the hermetics to get certain aspects of this book, to get the deeper meanings of this book. The hermetics are vital because laced throughout this book is an understanding of the hermetics. So please join my Patreon so that you can start this study with us next week. And as we go through it, I don't know how many weeks it's going to be. I don't know how many videos it's going to be. 99% of the videos are going to be completely only on Patreon. Maybe short excerpts will be out here on YouTube and Facebook. But I'm telling you guys, go to my Patreon today. If you're watching this and it's already halfway through the year or long throughout the year, go and join it today. It doesn't matter because you'll be able to go through all this information. But if you are looking at this, it is 2017, the last day of the year. If you're looking at this and this is January, this is February 2018, you need to get started right now. If you want this to be the greatest year that you've ever had, then you need to get started with us right now. So go to my Patreon. My Patreon is like $5 a month. $5 a month. To get the greatest study material that you will have ever experienced in my videos about the hermetics, as well as this one. And there are so many other things, so many other subject matters that we're going to cover as far as your relationships and your money and other things that we will be going through over the course of the year. So I look forward to it, guys. And a lot of these things will go simultaneously. I look forward to it. Join me on Patreon. I appreciate you guys being here. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself. Why? Because your greatness is non-negotiable. This is your Coach Renz.